Hi guys, I wanted to, it's Amanda here, for those of you who are new to the channel. Anyway, so I wanted to go through some of the stitched pieces that I'm working on, and I've got them all in here, and I've had to do this because I found that I'm creating a lot of stitched pieces at various stages of development and not completing well, I'm completing them, but it's like I have to say to them, look, you guys have to stay in here until the others get themselves a bit further on. So actually what I'll do is I'll show you one of my earliest pieces before I actually knew that I was interested in anything to do with stitching, and this was a fabric journal that I did, and I've done a few more, and I was just looking to see if, oh yeah, I've got another one to hand here. I think this was the first one I created. It's been sitting out in the sun, so it's a bit kind of faded, the fabric's faded, but I was never interested in stitching until I saw some stitch journals by Tisha Moore, and then I made these, and I made some smaller ones, and it was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't realise I enjoyed it so much, but it still didn't really click. So on this particular one I've got a lot of beading. These are cowrie shells, wooden beads, tassels, buttons, as you can see, and I'll just put everything on the front, and then on the back, this is really faded, you've got pockets here. These are laces that I've used as tags, and then on the inside I created bits that folded out, more pockets, and things that you could put things in here, like pens or art pens, because this was actually just the cover of the journal and I wasn't doing any fabric pages. So I made this was using 3D paint, gratitude, and this was called my Gratitude and Celebrations journal. So I have shared some of the pages in here. I did a series of weekly posts where I would write a gratitude, I would create an image for my journal, and I would share that on my blog. So I did that for about 1.5 years, and I've kind of resurrected it in a different way. So we're still using encouraging words each week, and I talk about these encouraging words, and what I want to then develop onto is creating journal pages, and actually I might do a stitch page to that. But this is a clay piece and it says celebrate, and so this was one of my first fabric inspired fabric journals, basically fabric covered journals. And then I did this particular one, and this I added lots of buttons and lots of beads, and I became more adventurous, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed combining a variety of materials and fabrics, and even some crochet pieces, and this was going to also be like a little pocket for things. And then I put together the fabric pages, and I literally just this was painted fabric that I cut up and then created have I got more than one signature. They're just separate signatures basically, and then I stitched them all together in here. And some of the pages have been machine stitched, and some have just got gesso on waiting for either me to paint something on, or I couldn't decide whether I wanted to do some stitching. But I like looking through here, I like some of the marks that I can see and the colours that I can see. So I might just add to that and do some more, like get some fabric paint or just acrylic paint and add some more detail to this. So this was the other one that I did, and I've got another little one which was just for me to carry around, needles, threads, and it's just a chunky, just seeing if it's in here. I tidied up. I did a lot of tidying up yesterday, so I put it in where it's supposed to go, but I haven't yet got used to my system yet. So more recently, I've been working on fabric pieces, and if you do go onto my blog, I'll leave a link. You will see some of the things that I've done. But what I'll do is show you some of the more recent stitch pieces that I've been getting into. So this was another one that was just kind of like an experiment, and I was doing it was like a challenge. I created a challenge, and you were supposed to add, there was 10 different levels to the challenge on a daily basis, and you would add or take or add different things. And then this was the thing, they were two separate, and then once I'd finished the 10 days, I thought to myself, let me just bring them together and make something with it. So this, as I'm looking at it now, even though it's got the dowel and it's ready to hang, the way that I've just realised I've added these pieces on. So these pieces I would have stitched separately. It just looked as if it had belonged. That's quite good. So what I would now do on these particular pieces is go in and do some more stitching. And I may not put that one there. I may want to see more of what's underneath. And I would put a backing in there. Yeah, these I would not necessarily put these here. It doesn't feel right to me as I'm looking at it, and I do go from how I feel when I'm creating these pieces. It's really about, how does this piece make me feel? Does it feel right there? And even that doesn't feel right there. So I'm going to leave that, because I know I can kind of just really work on that. But that's something I'm going to want to work on. And maybe the way it was is the way it should be. Maybe I'll put that there. I'm just literally going to do... Oh, ow, ow, ow. Stuck the needle through my nail. And this bit, I'm literally just going to do this and then I'll move on. Right, so the way I would take this forward now is to incorporate other stitchings. That's what I'm feeling. I need to incorporate other stitchings, bring this into the main body of the piece. I will need to do a backing as well to complete it. And yeah. And I've got the days at the back. This was day 7 of the piece. Anyway, so that's one of the first ones that I did. And then I got into weaving. I had started to grow my own cotton. And this video really is just going to be an introduction. And I will go into the pieces. If you want to know more about the pieces, I can do that. In probably separate videos, but I got into weaving, and this was literally the first piece that I weaved. I'd got it was a cardboard loom in London, and lots of wool, and all of these bits of wool came with it. Apart from this is what I've grown in my garden. This is Sea Island cotton, and some of the others are wools that I had already, because I used to crochet. Anyway, so I did this piece, and it wasn't perfect, and it was, you know, it's like it's not straight down like other woven pieces would be, but I liked it. I liked the colours, and then I started adding beading, and I thought, oh, that looks interesting, and I then went on and did some other bits, and then came back to this and felt that it needed to be in like a wall hanging setting. And so I've incorporated more things. I've done more stitching in the background, and then I added these pieces here and more beading. And then these are pieces, structural pieces, sculptural pieces that I created and added. This has got rope and fabric around it, and then you've got all of the beading at the bottom. And I really do think it's a pretty piece, and it's because it was my first kind of piece like this. I felt that I wanted to, I really liked it, and I was really attached to it, and it made me realise that, you know, there are so many people out there who are experts in the field of stitching and embroidery, but what you're doing is you're expressing yourself, and just feel proud about expressing yourself in the mediums that you like. And because I also like, you know, sculpture, I like painting, I like what else? Painting, sculpture, and, you know, working with other materials. It was just like, well, you can still do that, and do that in your work here. So the next piece that I completed is this piece, and it's a combination of painted fabric. So all the fabric would have been painted beforehand, and it was sitting in containers like this. Well, now, because I've now ordered all my painted fabric and other things, and so I had strips of painted fabric sitting around, and so I started to build this and just put together the pieces, and then the stitching began. And it was just like, I just really love the whole process. So you can see a lot of I've added beading. I've still got one of these sculptural elements with rope and gold paint, and then you've got all the beads that are there as well, and you can see the paint on the fabric and the shimmery effects of the glitter. And then you've got burlap here in the background, and then these beads. I love collecting beads. I love collecting beads, full stop. So I do have quite a large collection, that even that in itself is probably something, definitely a feast for the eyes. So I made this, and I was also interested in how the backs look. So you can still add stitching in the back. So I did a little bit of stitching back here, and I've made a metal tag, and this is some more painted fabric there. But yeah, I really love how these pieces, it's all of the little detail that you might not necessarily notice the back, but you can add whatever detail you want, and that's how I felt. Let me just come in slightly for you. Yeah, you can add whatever detail you want. So let me show you the next piece that's kind of following in the same stitched pattern. So this particular one is the next piece that I've completed, and again, it's incorporating a range of different stitches, a range of different materials, a range of different supplies that has all been brought together. We've got burlap as well, we've got wooden beads, metal embellishments. And more embellishments here. More beading. This actually is covered in beads. This is, I've got a range of Indian fabrics, and if you've seen them, they can be they come highly beaded basically. A lot of embroidery and a lot of work goes into them. So I'd found this strip and it was just like, it goes perfectly with this, and I wanted the theme to be, well, not the theme, but the colouring to bring out the orange that I had used with this fabric here, and I wanted to kind of bring it over, and I think it's done that. And then just incorporating other kind of more pearlized beads. And I really like this piece. And again, as I say, the back, you can always do, I've just done a little bit of stitching here on the back. You can just about barely see it there. But I like to add the beads wherever I can. These are wooden beads, more wooden beads. And they're all quite weighty, these pieces, but it's been a real pleasure. It's been a real pleasure to kind of, you know, incorporate different things, different stitches. We've got just straight stitch, we've got seed stitch, we've got some French knots, slightly French knots, and then the beading. I love bringing all these things together and creating. And what I'll probably show you in the next video is how I would start with some of the elements, because obviously it doesn't start like this. It starts with, say, you know, one of the pieces of fabric, and then I layer it, and then I build on it. So this next piece is probably the last one that I'll show you for now. And this one I started incorporating not only the painted fabric but embellishments that I've made as well. So with the face, it's made from clay, paper clay, and then it's decoupaged with paper, so you get a texture to it. And then we've got the bronze covering. So it's, each element in itself has been taken on its own journey. So like even the metal you've got here, the metal's embossed before being added. So I would have spent time in one sitting, say, doing the face, and then in another sitting, totally, you know, on a obviously a different day, but just working on embellishments. And these metal embellishments, I'll get a particular kind of feeling that I need to work on, and I'll show you some of my metal embellishments. So I've been recently doing some others and taking it, looking at different textures, looking at different ways in which I can work with the metal, and you know, creating tags. So I've created some nice tags, and I think it looks nice with the metal. So they're all done at different times. As I say, I don't like sit down and think, okay, I'm going to do a piece with metal, clay and all of this. It's as I'm building the piece, it's, oh, I feel like doing that. So this particular one was done with, I did a series of pieces that were made with plastic, painted plastic, but you had to, they had to go through a heating process to really kind of get this effect. And I did that, it was a couple of years ago, but I then found the pieces that I had created that I hadn't yet used, and so it just actually sat quite well here. And then this is a fabric bead that I put together, and this is tiger's head from, it's a double tiger's head, double-headed tiger. And so I scour not only my own broken jewelry, or jewelry that I don't necessarily wear anymore, and look at how I can incorporate that into created pieces, or I go to thrift shops, charity stores, and see where I can find pieces. So that actually, this head was donated to me by a fellow artist who said, "Oh, I know that you collect things. Here." She gave me a whole load of stuff that some of which I've been able to incorporate, and not everything I can incorporate like right there and then, and it may not be for a few years that I get to incorporate the pieces. But that's just an example of 3 of the pieces that I've created, and there's loads more, and there's loads more that I'd love to show you with the as I put them together. And maybe I'll give you a sneak peek at one of the others that I'm going to be working on. So it kind of varies. So it might be that I like, well, actually, let me show you these. So I made a series of pieces like this, and I'm not sure where I'm going with them. I just know that I had to make them, and I've got quite a few, and I've got them all to the same spot. So they're a series of hearts, and this is like a lovely kind of padded material. So I've got them all to this point, and now I'm just waiting for inspiration to take them to the next point. I've got something like this where it's a series of painted fabric. It was all done at the same time, and I did it with I used a stencil with, is that gesso or white paint? It might be gesso actually. So I've then added them to this white fabric and put it through the sewing machine, and just done some circles or spirals really. And so now this piece is waiting to be hand stitched. So I haven't yet been inspired to work on this piece, so it sits in this container. So let me show you one more. So as I say, they're all at different stages, and I might work on some and bring it to the next step, and then I'll work on the others in the group. So this particular one, show you this one. I'll show you it on this. This particular one is really how. Well, no, this is again, part of it has been stitched. I've done some hand stitching on here already, and it's there's more stitching. Yesterday I added this piece of material underneath. It just felt right, and I'm thinking about this as a backing, so I've just put them together, but it's incorporating some metal, which you can see it's been embossed there. You just hold it down there, you could come in. So we got embossed metal there, and here this is jeans fabric. And so what I've done is I would have just taken, say, maybe the African fabric in the background and this blue jeans fabric and put them together, and then just built on them as time went on. This is some lace material, and we've got some ribbon here. Again, some more painted fabric here. So some of them still have the nail going through it, the pin, because I had literally started to put them together and then pin them. and I would have done it from a container like this, which to come out now, which contains scraps. It has been ordered. Yeah, these lot I put on recently, but I'd bagged them up. So this is just whenever I'm, these are they're called little bit of scraps, I've called them. So whenever I've been working on pieces, I put them in here. So like all of these things that were sitting on top should now go into this bag, and then what I'll do is maybe get, like, say for instance, a piece like this, and I might just, you know, lay a few pieces of fabric down, play around with them, and see how it feels. Yeah, so we'll do that another time. I've got another little bag of African fabric scraps that I keep them separate because they're so vibrant, and there's less of them, but it's nice to be able to see what I've got in this particular bag. And I've also got a bag which is not here of painted fabric, but I keep them all together. So for now I'm going to put all these back here. Just put that down. And yeah, just finish on this so that, as you can see, like even this, that's a piece that I've still got the needle in the back, stitching, and all I've done is this almost looks like it's supposed to be here, but it was a hole in the fabric, and then I added this piece on top of another piece of the same fabric, and I started stitching. And underneath, you might be able to see, I've got like a shiny kind of cream material underneath in the hole, so that you just get the effect of that. Now I might add some beading to this center piece as I go along. That sounds like a nice idea. Maybe add some pearl beads in there, and that's really how I build up and then move on, and it gets bigger, and then I think, okay, actually no, I want it to be this size, or I want it to actually be a bigger size, so I might add another piece. But that essentially is, yeah, how some of the pieces come together. So I hope that you have been inspired, and the next stage will be to share with you from scratch how you could create your own wall hangings, mini wall hangings like this, or if you decided to, you might want to make them bigger size. I find that the bigger they are, and obviously the longer that they're going to take. I mean, these are quite involved in themselves, but it's nice to be able to finish pieces, and I think that's maybe why I've gone on to do so many more smaller pieces, because you can actually see it come together, and then actually you know, see it complete, and then move on. And I've usually got two or three main ones going at the moment. I've got, yeah, I think I've got 4 that kind of need just a little bit more embellishment, and the backing that I'm going to add to them. But that's for another day. Okay, thank you for joining me, and I hope that that's been informative, and I look forward to seeing what you're getting up to, and what you like about the stitching, and yeah, how you're enjoying the process. Take care for now.